Good evening, everybody. At the outset, I would like to thank the I-Square team, Mr. Nachiappa, Dr. Swarna, Vishwanathan Square, for giving their best support to make these webinars possible in this time of lockdown. Dear big brothers, same age friends, and young brothers in the industry, Namaste, Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal, Vanakkam, and Assalamu Alaikum. Because we have people from all regions coming into this seminar, I am making this address. I would like to start with a humble statement that I am from a commerce background. My mother's death forced me into the leather industry. I had the blessing to become a technical person in leather and leather products with great support of many of my seniors and friends in the industry. They were leather diploma holders, BTechs, MTechs coming into my life and helping me shaping out my career. Love for my mother gradually transformed into love for leather. I would like to make a very important point here that my stint with Tejumals from 1982 to 1995 made me what I am today. This journey provided me the mindset to create anything, anywhere, under any condition. Every grain of food I eat is the blessing of Tejumals. I'm just reading out the list, and these were all the people responsible for what I am today. I would like to dedicate my speech to all of them. I was brought into leather by one Mr. SMK Shankar, who pushed me into inspection of leathers and gradually promoted me as QC in my early days. Mr. T.J. Navanitha Krishnan, who taught me the ABCD of leather, Manika Vasagam, from whom I learned about the glaze kits and finer points of QC, Shanugam, from whom I learned about goat's weights and QC, Shafiq Shamal Balachandar was a big motivator from me, JBT Pandyan, from whom I learned about the importance of WebBlue inspection and before issuing it into production, Sandos Prasad Rao, big motivation for me, Hudson Janakiraman was a big motivator, NSW Jagannathan, who taught me the goat polish lining on heavy goats, Sandas Govardhanan, a good technical support for me, Namaste Shankar, from whom I learned the sheep tanning and finishing, Alpha Vijay Sarathi, knowledge on finishing, Siba Valliyappan, the great Mr. Valliyappan, I learned from him the knowledge of dyeing and finishing, Mr. Sanyal from Tatas, who taught me the raw material by regions, how to source it, how to go into the details of the raw material regions. Mr. O.K. Kaul of Tata was instrumental in the supply of my cow wet blues, imported and domestic, and later became a buyer for Tata Leathers and also involved in promoting Tata Leathers in the domestic market. We also got involved in the upholstery department in the initial days for export marketing and later for domestic marketing. Mr. Sadashiv was always a big motivator and a true guide for me, followed by Dharamsi Sharif, who guided me on psychology, Sampagi Manohar, who guided me on Richard Branson quote. If somebody offers you an amazing opportunity, but you are not sure if you can do it, say yes, then learn how to do it later. I simply followed his dictum. Regal Impacts Qadir Ibrahim was again a big motivator. Then comes in the international friends of mine, Luciano Pellegrini from Ilio Italiano, Italy. I learned classy finishes from him. Artan Kanja Panjapol from Thailand. He taught me the best quality upholstery crust tanning from Buffalo and also learned on splits from him. Flavio Lucchesi from Atlas. He taught me on the split standing for belt leathers. Simone and Santosh Manohar of Finicum learned about split finishing for belt leather in 3.2 millimeter thickness as smooth leather without any break or opening on these leathers. Alberto Guyato of Fenice about the water stain and how to avoid cracks while lasting. Brilliance on nubuck and sweats, how to be improved in the shoe finishings. I learned from him. I was shaped upon my smart working by Mr. Mahinder Mathani, the director of Sejimals. Learned high quality and boutique level of leather luxury brands from Mr. Shayan Fatemi of Dorsa, Iran. Learned customer research from Mr. Tarun Obrai, Krubos, and above all, my godfather Prakash Mathani. And without him, I would not have reached here. Reading Ramayana or Mahabharata in full form is a strong point, but the snippets and essence of it is used in everyday life at a different juncture. Same way, all these people gave me lots of tips and guidance from all the technical knowledge, and these are stalwarts who shaped me up. Thanks to all of them for whatever I am. Now, I come into the presentation. We talk about the 8C. Now, 8C, generally in our market, we say 8C means Etu Kodi Apa, 8 crore ho gaya. No, it's not, it's the 8C, what we are talking about during the time of Corona. Now it's all Corona, so now we take the 8C into account here. We talk about the first point is about the courage. We need to be courageous and face the reality and have confidence that we will drive the virus away and emerge successful in future. We cannot really drive the virus away. We should hide ourselves, so that the virus runs away automatically. Second thing is about the care. Take care of yourself, your family, neighbor, the state, our country, and the world. Stay home and stay safe. Curious. Be curious to know what is happening around the world and how and where we can take it to our advantage. Now, this is time we can keep connecting to many of our people around the world, because every customer and every friend of ours is sitting idle at home. We can talk to them and understand what is going to happen for the future and take advantage of the situation for the future steps. Now, coming into cost, the cost now after this COVID-19, we should take control of our costs at every level, because cost should be controlled totally so that we emerge competitive in the world. Now, next point is about competition. Please do not get into any cutthroat competition, and please do not get into cross competition by killing our own selves. Consortium, this is a very important point. In every meetings earlier, people have spoken about the cluster of leathers. Now I'm talking about the consortium of leather. Come together and create a consortium of various types of leather standards to be successful in the coming time. Unity will be the strength. Complain. Let us not complain and waste our time. The situation before is very serious, and let us offer our constructive suggestions and solutions to get over this situation. No complacency should be encouraged at any stage, that India will be at an advantage than China. China takes much less time to turn around any situation. So let's be careful and take advantage of this situation. Now, next slide, Mr. Nachepa. Can you get the next slide, please? Hello? 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 Hello?
Just be online.
Yeah.
Okay. Keep coming.
Okay. So should we start now? Is okay? Hello?
Yes, you can start. Yes, you can.
Yeah,
start.
okay. Now, today we are going to talk about the exploring domestic market, leather and leather products, including brand promotion. Consortium of various types of leathers and tanneries coming together. I'm here trying to point out that there are different types of leather manufacturers. Somebody is specializing in cow, somebody is specializing in goat, somebody is good at sheep, and somebody is good at split sweats. Now let us start trying to make it as a consortium of like-minded people trying to come together and approach the clients as one consortium, as one name, or one team, instead of going as separate suppliers. This will help us in the long run. This is what I feel. I would strongly recommend a consortium, and this is the time we can all come together. Let me give an example to all that the consortium was formed about maybe 6 years ago of the leather garment exporters from Chennai. And then when they made a consortium, they were very confident and they were able to handle a big quantity, which is offered by one of the biggest customers from Spain. And this consortium very efficiently handled that quantity. Taking a cue from here, some garment manufacturers, about 4 to 5 garment manufacturers from Delhi, they formed a consortium and they made a decision they will buy the raw material at one time. When they went and spoke to the supplier from international market, they could get at a very good price, and then they could get about 30 to 40 containers very easily in a year and at a good price, because the order was placed at one time. And they could share among themselves, and then they were all prosperous in the market. When every other garment exporter was struggling, these 4 or 5 people were becoming successful because of the consortium formed by them. There were never any ego problem, there was never any problem and fight in between them, and this made them a successful situation for them. So I recommended, suggest a consortium to be formed with the different type of leather manufacturers. Now, I would say if you have to do the domestic market, how fast you can reach up to the domestic market, as the first stage of development of leather product is very, very important. When a factory is about to make the presentation for their bags or for the shoes, reach out to them and then present all your collection of leathers. And this is a very important thing. Once you make your collection of leathers to them, they will pick the leathers from that, and then that particular leather, they will put it up to the customer as a product, and that product will get picked up, and that particular leather order comes back to you. It's a very similar situation of cycling around. You move the ball from here, and the ball comes back to you in the same cycle. Now, consolidate your raw material strength. It is very, very important that when you're making your collection of leathers, you decide on whichever raw material is your strong point. Don't go to the raw material which is going to be scarce or which is going to be creating a problem. Be sure on whichever raw material you're selecting that you're going to get through all through the season in that particular quality, so that you can be supplying to your customer without any problems whatsoever. Okay, these are all basically my own experience I have seen, because people first time they make some sample and then they commit, then they find difficult because that raw material is not available, or the supplier is not willing to supply, or some other situation coming out of that. Make the raw material strength and your supplier as your team. Okay, make them also in your supply chain so that there's no missing of any raw material for you at any point of time. Keeping production cost at low levels, not compromising on quality. Now, this is a very important aspect of it. Now, you need to keep your cost at the low levels and not compromise on quality is a very, very important point. Don't allow your chemical cost to go up. You should always tie up the chemical, like your raw material people of leather, you must also tie up the chemical people and try to see whichever chemicals you are going to get is going to be available all through the season without any problem. And secondly, keep your colors and dye solution, dyes matched in the initial stages properly at the time of sampling itself, so that you don't have any problem coming up later. When you get all these leathers to the customers, now the customers will feel you as a partner in the progress. Okay, they will feel I have got a goat suede, I got a split suede, I got the cow's leathers, I got my buffalo leather, I got the goat and sheep leathers from the same supplier. So the customer will feel that, okay, you are the right consortium to work with or the right group to work with, that will become a partner in the progress. So this will be the best way to do it. Secondly, I would recommend the Chinese way for the consortium. So the Chinese way is that make the customer committed to you at every point of time with your price and quantity at every time suitable to the market. If you make a good collection and with a good price, the customer will always be behind you. You can always use your connection with the customer to your advantage, and then the payment problems also gets eliminated because the payment has to be circulated to only one section. It is not going to be divided into many suppliers. So you are also sure about the payment coming to you in time. Now, the next point is about effective pooling and utilization of financial resources. Effective pooling and utilization of financial resources. Think before you buying any machines. Now, when you have the money, don't get impulsive to go and buy any machine that you like to buy. Talk to the people around and find out which machine is not available in the market and get that machine so that that machine can be put into real good use in the market. Now, when you are in the consortium with your extra funds, when you have got surplus funds, please support the consortium member with the surplus funds. Sometimes it so happens that a person with the order do not have enough funds and the person who do not have orders have enough funds with him. Now try to be complementing in the consortium, trying to support the other person with your funds so that the whole consortium gets benefited out of it. Now, the third point is about support staff utilization and mobilization. Now, when you're getting into the third stop, okay, now when you have the consortium made, you limit your workers and your mechanical and electrical people to work into one particular region in the most effective way. This does not allow them to get dispersed from here to there and there to here, and you always have a shortage of mechanical and technical people running around for you. So this solves that particular problem by effective pooling and utilization of your resources. The next point coming up as consolidating marketing costs and efforts for better results. Keep representatives in every area for marketing and market information. You could have one person connecting Delhi, Agra, Gurgaon, and another person connecting Kanpur, Calcutta. So this way you get all the market information and also about the competitors that is there in the market and how you can reach up to the market in the right time with your right collection. This will be a big asset for you, keeping a right representative and also share a small profit with him, which is going to be from your benefits. So that this person runs around for you all the time, and then he's going to give you all the in-depth knowledge in the market. Now, this is also going to reduce your travel and other costs. Now, when you form a consortium and instead of 5 people, one person is there in these markets running around for you, your travel cost is totally reduced and your other costs in the travel, right, like your hoteling expenditure and that traveling expenditure are totally reduced. And this person can do all your services for this, and your consortium gets a real good business. Now, be complementing within the consortium and never get into complaining. Sometimes it will so happen that one department, like the goat and the cow may get orders, the buffalo may not get orders. Now, try to work on it to see how the buffalo can get order rather than complaining that the group of goat and cow is getting order, I am not getting the order in buffalo. Try to be complementing so that the next season could be a buffalo season and not the cow season, so that you can be complementing each other with your support and with your technical knowledge and how you can work together. This will be your big strength. Now, I will just go into the details of this. in a little bit elaborate way. When you have a merchandiser in your factory, in the consortium as a common merchandiser, try to get all the information from your person, from an agent who is there in Delhi or Agra, to get all the information so that everybody gets the right feedback from every department. And then when you get the information, pass it on, share it with your other leather manufacturers so that they can take advantage of the situation that, okay, goat and cow leathers are moving well. Let me support from my side, either financially or technically, so that all your leathers are selling at every point of time in a right way. Make abundant raw material or a surplus raw material to an advantage. Please keep on watch on raw materials, which is always abundant. Work towards development of new and acceptable article to the market to utilize the abundant as advantage. Make finishing and presentation in such a way to invite interest. Understand the reason why such an abundant metal is not being put into use and improve them. And if not for exported oriented product, could be a good product for domestic market consumption. New developments and R&D should always be kept alive for less in demand leathers to bring price advantage and size advantage. Highlight the faster turnaround options, citing availability of such leathers. Please do not get into educating the customer too much, and this has been one of the major disadvantages for the tanneries over the years. Now, this has been the strategies I've been talking about for the domestic market. Now, domestic market is a very vibrant market, and really you can take advantage of the market because there is always a shortage for a real good supplier in the domestic market. I definitely would like to make a point that there are some of the tanneries already have a tie-up with some of the leather goods factories in Agra, in Delhi, in Calcutta and all that. But still there is enough vacuum in the market. There is enough possibility that we all can get into the market and take a share. And please don't get worried that, okay, that your share will go off. The share will always be there for everybody to take advantage of the situation. You have to just wait patiently for your time to come through. Just work in a team spirit. You will always get your share of business, and your customer will always be loyal to you because you have given the sampling to them. You have been coordinating with them regularly, and you are working as a consortium, and he knows he can look for every leather to you. This will form as a great strength. This is a very important point to be considered as a consortium. Now, strategy for export marketing. Understanding the world market, a sneak peek. Take a look at certain facts and figures. The world population as on today is about 7.77 billion, and India is 1.36 and China is 1.48 billion. India produces 3 billion square feet of finished leather per annum as per CLE reports, which holds about 10% of the world market share. India is the second largest livestock holding country. India produces 2.4 billion pairs of shoes every year for export. Now, if you look at the world figures, the world consumes about 15 to 19 billion pairs of shoes every year, valued in retail at $352 billion. Now compare this situation. India is producing 2.4 billion pairs of shoes every year, and the world requirement is 15 to 19 billion pairs of shoes every year. Apart from this, I would also state that India is producing about 2.2 billion pairs of shoes every year for the domestic market. Women buys an average of 27 pairs and men buy 12 pairs in a year. This is the international statistics which shows there. Handbag business around the world is valued at $47 billion every year, which is just 15% of the footwear sales in the retail market. Statistics reveal every woman has 11 bags for herself in the international statistics department. Finished leather exports in 2014 and 15 was $1329, and in 2018-19 dropped to $722. This is a matter of concern. Okay. This drop has been phenomenal. Okay, the drop by the figures, when you look at it, is 40%, but when you look at the forex difference, the drop comes to something around 59%. This is a phenomenal drop. And somewhere we have in the discussion, some people have mentioned that, okay, there is a lot of leather that is consumed for export as products, which is not true. Footwear export for the year 2014 was $2,278. And in 2018-19 dropped to $2195, all in $1 million. These are all in $1 million. Now leather goods dropped to 1434 against 1452 in 2014. This is a very small drop in leather goods, but if you look at the leather, it is a big drop. The international financial years more or less remained the same for the whole pattern. You know, if you check the 2015, 16, 16, 17, it has always been the same figures. There has been not any big difference in the figure that has happened. Comparing the two period foreign exchange, there was a difference between 2014, 15 and 2018, 19. The gain of foreign exchange was about 19%. The Indian rupee had got devalued, so we got more realization in our account. So taking that into account, if the footwear and leather goods manufacturer remained similar between the period, whereas the currency devaluation has been 19%. The big drop has been in the leather garment. India still holds the next position to Italy, holding about 17% of the world's market. The whole leather market share of India has dropped from 16% in 2014-15 to 10% in the year 2019. This is the cause of concern also. In saddlery and harness, India holds the 5th position, same as leather goods. Breaking our export performance of all leather and leather products country-wise, the significant drop are 18% in Germany, 20% in UK, 27% in Italy, 14% in France, and 28% in Spain. We may attribute these reasons to the synthetics and the man-made material and other pig skin which is coming into the market. Now, when you look into the reality of it, okay, these competitions and these problems have always been there in the industry. Now, it is all only the confidence we should bring into ourselves, that we should find the ways how we can increase the share of the market. I am just going into the details of it also. So let us talk about the solution or avenues to do better. The points we discussed for the domestic business about reaching out to the customer in advance and presenting them with new articles which will attract the markets will be the key even for the export markets. From a view and experience, many tanneries have remained in the comfort zone that a particular leather is selling and have not worked hard to get new range into their marketing. Fear of failure could be a reason. R&D and getting appraised of the international fashion and trends in advance need to be done. We may feel that we are already doing that through CLE and visiting Linapel, etc. We need to bring into more action and result oriented. The consortium, if formed, even for the exports, will give the strength to the business. Everyone could concentrate on one area, like Italy, France, and Germany could be one person concentrating. Spain, Portugal, Greece should be other person. Hong Kong and China could be other one. South Korea and Japan could be other one. Australia, East Europe, Russia, and CS countries are still there to explore. Now, when you go into these particular details, you can always find there is enough market that is still available, and it all depends on how we can form as a good consortium and try to be in every market. Now, every market, when you go as a consortium, you become a common entity, because even a goat person can go into your market where a cow demand is going to be there. He is going to bring that particular value into the consortium. So please try to think about the consortium angle for the growth of everybody around. Don't lose any opportunity and don't leave any stone unworked. As Albert Einstein said, in the middle of difficulty lies the opportunity. This is what I feel strongly over here. Now, the next point is creation, which is better than copying. As my beloved chairman of Tejumals used to say in all the meetings at CLE, that we should not be the job workers for the Europeans and Americans, and we should create our own style of products and leather and market it. Incidentally, you are the chairman of CLE and FIU as well. Our experience in Tejumals suggests that we could always be ahead of the market, and in footwear business, we decided the styles and type of leathers ourselves and not by our customers. I remember instances when we convinced a customer to consume cow finished leather instead of goat, as the goat market went very high and our orders were all finalized. It was a blessing in disguise for many tanneries who had huge stock then due to some disturbance in the Middle East, and shipments were all stacked up. So we could consume all those leathers and make the shoes and fulfill our customer requirement, and also save ourselves from the losses due to the goat market going high. Till today, I believe in this way of working and practicing it to the best possible. I trust and believe that we have the best technical brains in our country to make any type of leathers, and also we have all the chemicals available today. So why we should shy away from doing any development? We should be the first one to create a new market, new developments, and do less of copying of the customer swatches. This will help us to grow in the long run in a better way. we will surprise the customers many times if we have the developments in advance and well presented. We have all types of chemicals, and why should be not be an advantage? My own experience on Tejumas and later for a short stint at Tangerine is a testimony to these situations. Venturing into untapped markets, I'm taking the leather products as well here along with the leather. Leather garments for winter. We need to work on developing soft and thick leathers which will be used for the winter jackets. The garment factories should well be
It's 5
prepared.
o'clock.
The garment factory should well be prepared to make the best winter jackets. It is a question of adapting ourselves to the market. Will require moutons and fur collars and cuffs, which could well be planned. Markets of Russia and CSA countries will turn to us for their requirement. Women's shoes, spring-summer production drops for footwear business in Chennai, whereas in Mumbai, Delhi, and some parts of comfort factories do a good business as these are mainly open footwear or flat sandals, Huarache sandals, or ballerina. The general feeling is that they are cheap. The same could be made more elegant and comfortable, which could bring in more business to this part of the country. I remember that there was a mention on 7th April about women's shoes by Mr. Ramlingam and Mr. Jagannathan, that high-heel shoes and high-fashion sandals could be explored. It is very important that these markets are tapped to increase our business. High-fashion women's shoes demand good grades of leather and components and could get a good price, and the lower selection could be used for sandals. Winter shoes for women and waterproof leather for high boots and vampire boots are always a good opportunity to consume more leather for tannery and new avenue for the market. We should also make some very good leathers suitable for the leather goods, which can be used in the winter, which will benefit the factories in Calcutta. Because Calcutta factories seldom get business during the winter because they could not get very good leathers and leathers which could stand the winter conditions and could be a waterproof. Waterproofing leathers could be a big support for the Calcutta bag manufacturers during the winter season. There are a few more areas to sell our leathers. I'm reserving it for the next meeting because the time is not enough. Again, I have a good experience and exposure in all these markets over the years. And for your information, I spent nearly 13 years in traveling on my own to gain knowledge and develop my passion and these areas of business. Open for any support at any time. Thank you very much for this opportunity.